The phone vibrated against the nightstand. 82 missed calls. Her name flashed on the screen again, Emily, but I let it buzz until it died. The house was dark, silent, as if holding its breath. I sat at the kitchen table, the glass of water untouched in front of me. My hands were steady, my chest wasn't. The missed calls weren't an accident. They were desperation, panic, fear of something she already knew I'd seen. 2 days ago, I had smiled when her father told me I wasn't qualified for the promotion. 12 years, every late night, every deal I'd closed, every sacrifice, reduced to nothing with a single word: unqualified. I'd driven home in silence, the smile never leaving my face, because I knew something then, something he didn't, something she didn't think I could ever discover. And now, 2 days later, the calls wouldn't stop. I leaned back in the chair, staring at the phone until the screen went black. The truth had already detonated. I was just waiting for the pieces to fall. It started with a look. Not hers, his. Her father had always looked at me with disdain, a kind of quiet contempt he never tried to hide. But that day, when he told me I wasn't qualified, there was something else in his eyes. A flicker, satisfaction. It was too personal, too final. That night, Emily didn't ask how it went. She poured herself a glass of wine, scrolling through her phone, and told me we'd talk later. She never did. I should have been angry about the promotion. I wasn't. I was studying her. The way she smiled at her screen, the way her hand lingered over the messages before locking it. And when she turned off the light that night, whispering "love you" like muscle memory, I stared at the ceiling, feeling the weight of 12 years pressing down. 12 years I had given to both of them, her and her father. My loyalty, my work, my life. Something connected. Her father's smug dismissal, her distracted smile, the avoidance. A suspicion took root, quiet, poisonous, impossible to ignore. I told myself it couldn't be true, that I was overthinking. But even as I whispered those lies, my chest tightened with a certainty I couldn't explain. I became careful, calculated. Passwords are easier to find than people think. A glance at her fingers, the rhythm of her taps. By the third night, I had her phone in my hand while she showered. The messages were there. Not explicit, not obvious, but intimate in their restraint. Words that seemed innocent until you saw the timing, the late hours, the familiarity. The contact name was masked, but the rhythm of conversation was unmistakable. Someone with power, authority, someone who knew me too well. Her father. The realization didn't hit me like a blow. It settled slowly, suffocating. The pieces locked into place. The promotion denied. The look in his eyes. The reason she'd been drifting further each night, as if her loyalty had shifted somewhere else. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed proof. The kind of truth that couldn't be denied, couldn't be explained away with trembling excuses. So I waited. Bank statements, hotel bookings, a pattern of weekends where she claimed to visit her sister, a receipt from a bar her father frequented. Small details, but together they painted the portrait she thought I would never see. All the while, I smiled at her, kissed her cheek, asked about her day. I played the part perfectly, while inside, the silence grew sharper, colder. The DNA test was the final thread. Our daughter, 7 years old, with her laughter and her wide eyes I'd always thought mirrored mine. I sent the kit quietly, no questions asked. The results arrived on a gray morning. I opened the envelope at the kitchen table, the same place I sat 2 days later ignoring her calls. Probability of paternity, 0%. It didn't surprise me, that was the worst part. It only confirmed what my body had already accepted. That night I placed the papers on her nightstand without a word. She picked them up slowly, reading, her face draining of color. Her lips parted, searching for sound. I watched her hands tremble. When her eyes lifted to mine, they were already wet. "I can explain," she whispered. I didn't answer. I just watched. The silence was heavier than any words I could offer. And for the first time, she understood I knew everything. The calls began the next morning. She tried to follow me into the kitchen, into the car, into the office. Each time I gave her nothing but silence. The second day, her father called me into his office. He tried to speak, but I slid the DNA results across his desk. He froze. His lips moved, forming some defense, but I cut him off with one line. "You were right. I wasn't qualified." Then I stood, calm, detached, leaving the papers on his polished desk like a corpse he couldn't bury. His face was pale, his composure cracked, and for the first time in 12 years, I saw fear in his eyes. I walked out without looking back. That was 2 days ago. Now, 82 missed calls later, I still hadn't answered her once. I didn't need to. She already knew the silence was permanent. The life I had built, the man I had been, both were gone. What remained was clarity. A cold understanding that betrayal leaves nothing worth saving. I rose from the table, leaving the phone face down, the glass of water untouched. Outside, the night was heavy and still. I stepped into it without hesitation, without weight. For the first time in 12 years, I wasn't bound to anyone. And as the door closed behind me, I realized the cruelest revenge was simple. I had finally stopped caring.